You are listening to the voice of Free Planet X. True stories of fictional people. This is Jared Axelrod. If you live in Cyriania, you've heard about the Feltrain Festival. The Feltrain Festival is an annual tradition in Cyriania, an all-night dance party, one of the few that is, by tradition, unsegregated. All are welcome at Feltrain. Elves, Dwarves, humans, Tanuki, Great Eagles, everyone. It's often held up as a sign of Cyriania's social progress, that ever since the fall of the Dark Lord Necron and the breaking of his bone throne, Cyriania has been moving forward. This year, however, that illusion was shattered when Huber Heknut walked up to the Feltrain Festival and pulled out a magic sword that released a poison gas that killed 50 people within a matter of seconds. To give some context, while the Dark Lord has a body count that goes into the hundreds, the most he killed at one time was 23 with a desiccation spell, and that was seen as a horror unmatched at the time. But the Dark Lord Necron, he was an evil wizard, bent on conquest. Huber Heknut was a farmer. Just a farmer with a magic sword. This has led to speculation that Cyriania's current ruler, the Raptor Queen, is going to ban magic swords. Now, whether that's true or not, the palace, they refuse to comment. It is something that people are talking about. Take Angmar here, a cleric who I met at the Painted Rat Tavern.
I work in a temple of light. We do a lot of healing there. People are coming to me, bringing to me their friends who are victims of magic sword-related violence.
Are the friends trolls?
That's Corvine, a ranger by trade who has accompanied Angmar on several adventures through the wilds.
No, they're regular good folk like you and me.
Oh, okay.
You know, but they're coming in like, please, look, my friend has been killed. There was a stray bolt of lightning as one adventuring party was fighting against some goblin raiders, and you know
of course,
you
goblin
know,
raiders are gonna happen.
But then it results in these dead kids and friends on the street. And they're like, can you help me? I'm like, I'm not a necromancer. You know, if there's a sliver of life, sure, I can help you out. But this person is all the way dead.
What?
You know, that takes some dark arts to which I do not subscribe. Though, if people do, you know, whatever. That's their preference.
Say no
that's
more.
Fine.
Say
you know,
no more.
I have no problems with their gods, except for the times when I am literally waging war against other gods as you know, cleric of light.
I'm not,
you know,
the smartest man, but what if all them kids had magic swords? What do you think would have happened? Would have stood a chance?
So you're saying that to you it is literally, you know, you think this could happen where, like, you're walking on the street, luckily you remember to have your magic sword.
Of course.
And then, oh no, somebody else is swinging their own magic sword.
Do you forget to bring your wallet? Do you forget to bring keys? Do you forget to bring your enchanted ferret? No.
Well, some of us sometimes do forget to bring their wallet, or do you not remember earlier today when you asked me to cover your drinks tonight? But anyway, beside the point.
Why do you think I told you to bring your wallet?
Or anyway, so somebody walking on the street, you know, and then, oh no, a bolt of lightning coming my way from a magic sword. You think your reaction would be so quick that you, like, unholster your magic sword, and you, I don't know what, you like shoot opposing lightning, or I don't know what stops lightning.
What are you making fun? You making fun? You making fun of me?
I'm really wanting your opinion, because
the dialogue's not going to go anywhere if you make fun of.
To understand what magic swords mean to the people of Cyriania, first had to understand what swords mean to the people of Cyriania. Zelebeth is a particular type of sword fighter known as a Kushner, and has been doing it for many, many years.
When I was a little girl, I used to practice with sticks. I wanted to duel more than anything. And my parents, of course, were against it. But in the end, I wasn't really interested in anything else. So I began to train very early. And I was fortunate enough to train with some of the great duelists of our day. It was a huge amount of work, and I have to tell you, it was so much work that occasionally I was tempted to give up. You know, you have those moments of, I can't do this, I'll never be the master that my master is. And then once you start really dueling, you think, oh my God, I'm going to get killed. There are people who are better than me. And you just have to keep at it. You just have to keep going. Trust in your eye, trust in your body, trust your blade, and in a sense, trust all the people you've trained with, who in their turn have trained with people as well. Before you pick up a blade to duel, you need to know the blade. You need to understand the blade. You need to know your own body as well. And it's the pairing of the body with the blade that creates a fine duelist. I've dueled with people who clearly think of the blade as something separate from their arm, as something separate from their body, as something they can control with their will. And the truth is that that's not how it's done. They're very easy to disarm, I have to tell you.
So because they believe it to be separate, it is then easy for you to separate them.
Well put. Yes, I think so.
Do you have a particular favorite duel that you've had?
Yes, I definitely do. It was a foreigner, and he was very showy, very flashy, and very eager to fight me. And I thought, oh, he's going to be a total asshole. This is going to be fun. This is going to be easy, and I'll show him up for the poppycock that he is. And he turned out to be tremendously good. And the fight went on and on and on. We kept testing each other, and it got better and better and harder until by the end we were both absolutely drenched with sweat. And I have to say, he made the touch. He got first blood, and then we went out and got drunk together.
What do you say to the argument that a magic sword is necessary against a much larger opponent, like, say, an ogre or a troll or a dragon? These opponents require magic swords.
That is probably true. Go out into the wilderness and do what you want with them, but don't call yourself a duelist. I mean, I suppose at that point it becomes something like a lance or a battle axe that can do a great deal of damage to a genuinely serious enemy. Well, it's fine with me. Just stay out of my street.
Could you take on a larger opponent, like say an ogre, with just a regular sword? Is that something that you feel confident in?
No, I wouldn't do that. I really think part of the beauty of a real dueling sword is that it's for human against human. It's an art as much as anything else, and a way to know character. And ogres, as everyone knows, have no character, so I wouldn't insult my blade with one. But no, to be honest, I would probably be killed. On the other hand, if I had to do it, even as you asked me this, I'm thinking, what techniques would I use? And how would I manage at least to damage them enough that I could get away? It's possible, but I'd like to keep it theoretical.
So you arrive at fairs and are known for challenging people with magic swords and disarming them very quickly.
No, you've found my weakness. I just enjoy it. I do love showing off. I do love the wagers that are placed upon me for that, because I very often take a cut with friends who are laying their own wagers. And most of the time, these people have no swordcraft. They're slow. They're slower than a true duelist. They think slower. They move slower. Their strategies are slow. And whip, out goes their weapon. And mine takes the day. And I think not only for my my personal pride and occasionally my pocketbook, but for the young people who are so seduced by the flash and the glamour and the tremendous destructive potential, which everyone between the ages of 12 and 18 is always in love with, they also get to see that these things can be easily defeated by skill and cunning, and dare I say it, grace and elegance. And I like to think that every time I do one of those, at least one young person decides to turn their back on the magic sword and consider the slow and careful study of the true blade.
So if there was follow through on the proposed magic sword ban, this would cancel out that particular mode of income that you have.
I could live with that.
Do magic swords have a place in the modern adventurer's pack? Kagan Consumite, an experienced fighter and an adventurer, put forth a very compelling argument.
The Raptor Queen's army can carry magic swords. Why shouldn't I? Can I talk a minute about how weird it is to have a bird of prey as a ruler?
That's not really relevant to the sword issue. And thinking about the size of the great eagle population in your land, I imagine a great eagle queen is not beyond the pale.
It's just weird is all. I mean, I know she can talk. It's just... I get it. Anyway, magic swords. Her army uses them, and so should I.
You've been trained as a knight.
Not officially. I'm more self-taught knight. I don't kneel to anyone or any bird. I said it. When was the last time we had a human leader? We should go back to that.
I believe your last human leader was the Dark Lord Necron.
Okay, well, sure. We shouldn't go back to that. But here's the thing about living under Necron. You had a common purpose, right? An enemy, someone to rally against. We don't have that anymore. No wonder there's not any proper adventurers. We're becoming weaker as a kingdom.
I'd like to go back to how you've had no training on how to use a magic sword and any sort of combat.
You don't need training with a magic sword. It just goes, like kablam! Lightning bolt, firebolt, firing. I don't know, like a series of smaller swords.
That is actually a type of magical sword.
Oh, for real?
One that fires smaller swords? Yeah, I saw it in action.
I gotta give me one of those.
You collect magic swords.
I've got a few. The great thing about being an adventurer is there's all this loot. Some of it's magic swords, some of it's magic chalices, and some of it's magic amulets. No one's talking about magic amulets. I mean, a friend of mine, he got an amulet that shoots a death beam. Like a beam of death, like right out of that thing. No one's up in arms about that. He wears that thing around his neck. At least my magic sword's in a sheath.
Sure, but amulets of that type seem very rare, unlike magic swords, which have only increased in proliferation in recent years.
You're not gonna change that with the law banning them. I mean, no, if magic swords exist, why shouldn't we use them?
Oh, okay, yeah, but certainly there's a moral question at work here, right? Just because we have something doesn't mean that we should use it. I mean, especially when you look at the massive collateral damage magic swords can cause.
Listen, I'm no paladin, and maybe you shouldn't have someone who raids dungeons for a living to be your moral compass. But the fact of the matter is, magic swords exist. Outlawing them is not going to make them go away. You can't put a genie back in the bottle. Because, believe me, I tried, Genies are the worst. I mean, those wishes, they never really turn out the way you want them to, and then, it just gets... But I digress. Magic swords are here. Check out mine. I call this beaut Orc Stunner. You think if there was some law, she'd just disappear into thin air? You're just not being realistic.
But surely you understand the immense damage that these weapons cause.
let me tell you about damage. Orc Stunner can take down an ogre at 40 paces. Is it dangerous? Hell yeah, it's dangerous. I want it to be dangerous. I need it to be dangerous. This is a dangerous world we live in. I'm not about to go out into it, unarmed and all that.
Alright, well, given your occupation, that certainly makes sense. But what about when you're, just in town, you're just going to a tavern, looking to have a good time? Why carry a magic sword everywhere you go?
I may not need Orc Stunner at a tavern, but it's important for folks to see me with Orc Stunner at a tavern. You know what I'm saying? I'm making a statement about my rights.
But what are these rights Kagan is talking about? Well, after the demise of the Dark Lord, Cyriania's people came together to create a document that would define not only the type of government that would fill the vacuum made by a vanquished evil dictatorship, but also what rights the Elves, Dwarves, Human, Tanuki, and Great Eagles would have under that rule. The Magna Longian Cunis.
The Magna Longian Cuis was a scroll that was several cudgets long when unfurled. Now, with modern bookbinding techniques, a copy of the original can be fit into a tome of 1,547 pages.
Scraw Nightflight is a librarian at the Hagialfer Archive in Cyriania's capital.
Those 1,547 pages, of course, do not account for subsequent amendments and subtractions to the Magna Longian Cuis.
There's been amendments?
The trouble with outlining a plan for utopia is that everyone has a different idea of what utopia is. Paradise is so often open to interpretation. So, certain articles of the Magna Longian Cuis have been removed, such as the ones classifying sheep as children for the census, and the right of primacina, where a feudal lord had to be invited to the first meal a married couple eats. And other articles have been added. That is why it is now legal for redheads to own property, and dwarf tossing is currently punished as a hate crime.
So it's a living document?
Oh, no. Living documents are kept in the east wing of the archive, where they are fed and watered regularly. I can take you to the living documents if you would like to speak with them.
That's quite all right. Let's stick to the Magna Longian Cunis. What does it say about magic swords?
Specifically, nothing. The article most people bring up in relation to magic swords is one of the shorter ones, Article 97. Every denizen of the land doth have the right to arms.
That's it?
Indeed. 11 words, and then we're on to Article 98, about proper canine breeding.
No mention of magic swords at all.
One could make the argument that it doesn't mention weapons at all. One of the Dark Lord's favourite punishments was the removal of one or both of the victim's arms. The article has been interpreted in the past to mean that people have the right to keep their upper appendages. During the rise of the Great Eagles as a political force, that article was amended to say, "Every denizen of this land doth have the right to arms and wings."
And that's not in the current version.
No.
So what happened?
There are several culprits. The systematic erasure of Great Eagle accomplishments comes to mind. But I cannot look at the various permutations of the Magna Longian Cuis and not say that this document has been interpreted and reinterpreted over and over again. Times change, and minds change as time does. Sometimes this leads to errors of social acceptance and prosperity. And sometimes this leads to regressive thinking and stagnation. The Magna Longian Cuas can and has been held up as a symbol for both. It is a great document, but it is just a document. It is words on paper. Any power it has is solely due to the power we give it. We use it to say what we want, and to reassure ourselves that what we want is not a whim of our upbringing, but a universal truth.
What do you think the original authors of the Magna Longium Cuas would think of all these amendments and these interpretations?
I like to imagine this was their plan all along. But contemporary reports of their lives do not speak to a collection of philosopher monarchs. Just people, educated enough to see that evil dictatorship wasn't the answer, but flawed enough not to realize how limited their view actually was. At best, their idea of utopia turned out to be too narrow for the real world.
One more question, if I may.
Oh, certainly.
You're a Great Eagle.
Yes, and?
What do you think about the Raptor Queen? About Cyriania having a Great Eagle ruler, I mean.
It's about damn time.
So where does that leave us? There's no law against magic swords in Cyriania currently, but there's also no law specifically supporting them. And can anybody be said to have a right to weaponry? If so, can we say that that right doesn't then extend to all weapons? And if not, then what does that mean for people who already have these weapons? Personally, I don't like the idea of magic swords. Being able to fire lightning or fireballs or a series of smaller swords without a thought, well, that's the real problem, isn't it? It's too easy not to think with those. When Huber Heknut walked into that festival circle and released a cloud of poison gas, did he do it without a thought? If he had a regular, non-magic sword instead, and had to stab each and every person there, would he have done it at all? At the very least, I'd like to think that it would have given someone an opportunity to stop him. But what do I know? I don't even live here. I guess we really just end up back where we started. At a tavern bar, arguing over a problem that has no easy solution. Unless you've already tossed back too many tankards of ale.
That's like an unrelated matter because I have factual proof that I literally can cast a spell which can tell me whether or not somebody's evil. So that's kind of like it's a false equivalency that you're drawing.
Yeah. The only thing that can stop a bad guy with a magic sword is a good guy with a magic sword.
This episode was written and produced by Jared Axelrod. This episode featured music by bensound.com. The voice of Free Planet X theme is by Russell Collins. This episode could not have existed without the vocal talents of
Andy Holman,
Phil Thomas,
Ellen Kushner,
Jason LeBron Richardson,
Kennedy Allen.
and the support of people like... Thought I'd turn this off. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Axelrod.
Professor Brain Fever?
The one and only. I bet you're wondering how I got this number.
Not really. I left that card on your desk back when I was at your studio.
Oh, did you? Well, the office has been a bit of a mess lately. I suppose that could have saved me a lot of time. But I just wanted to let you know. She's coming for you, Jared. She's coming for you.
Who?
Mercury. Dr. Mercury got extremely curious about you after your appearance in my studio. You and your wife. And believe me, the last thing you want is to be on the receiving end of Dr. Mercury's curiosity. No one survives that.
Why are you warning me? That seems out of character for a supervillain.
My dear doomed boy, I'm not warning you. I'm relishing your inevitable demise. This foreknowledge will not save you. You cannot stop Dr. Mercury. Even the pan-reality Deator fears her. Some of his priests contacted me. Would you believe it? They asked me if I knew how to defeat her, should she turn an evil eye their way. The fools! I can contain a supernova inside a nutshell, but when it comes to Mercury, I can't do diddly squat. She is poison, and fire, and death. She's coming for you, and there's nothing you can do.
Well, that was ominous. I'm sure I've got some time before she... Who turned out the lights?
I do so prefer the darkness. Hello, Mr. Axelrod. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Mercury. I've got a golden cage just your size.
What?